All right. So good morning. Good morning. I hope everybody's having a great day, a great week. It is Wednesday, March 16th, officially halfway through the third month of the year. And we got 2 weeks left in this first quarter to try and wind everything down. If you see the stats that Craig is showing you, things are not stopping. Things are not slowing down. So I've got a grab bag. Mike is sketchy. What do you mean sketchy? Got to get a sound check. So give me some feedback, please. How's the mic? Does everything sound okay? It's good now. Everything's good. Good. Works for me. Good. Good. Sounds fine. Okay. Good. Thank you. I appreciate that. John, maybe try logging in or logging out, logging back in. Maybe it'll be okay. All right. So what better now. Gotcha. And I hear someone screaming from the back too. So I've got a grab bag of things today. I'm going to cover kind of a multiple of different topics. I do want to show you, I do want to play a couple short videos for you to really help to kind of focus on your mind, your mindset, just where we're focusing. There's so much going on all around us. There's war, there's disease, there's viruses, there's vaccines, there's all kinds of it. There's rising interest rates, politics, what state are you in? There's so much, tornadoes, hurricanes, weather. There's so many things that are going to distract you on a daily basis. And then we have our personal lives. We have spouses, kids, coworkers, deals, pain in the ass agents, pain in the ass customers. There's so many things that can get our attention. And you need to really try to use a different level of understanding and a different level of your energy to refocus yourself on a daily basis, because your mind tends to gravitate towards the familiar. And you're going to expand on this in a little bit. Like I said, I've got a grab bag, so it might be a little all over the place, but your mind tends to gravitate towards the familiar. It likes the familiar. That's why we have comfort zones, because we gravitate towards the familiar and we stay in the familiar area. Your brain tends to keep gravitating back towards that. And if you are not practicing something on a daily basis, I'm telling you, you are practicing something on a daily basis that is not conscious to you. If you are not consciously choosing what you are practicing, whether it's your business, whether it's your attitude, whether it's your gratitude, your energy, your intentions, your workouts, whatever that is, if you are not consciously choosing and focusing on something and practicing something on a daily basis, you are practicing something on a daily basis that is not serving you, that is not benefiting you. One of the videos I'm going to show you is going to give you a couple different ways to think about how you can create your own intentions, create some things, and actually practice some of those things. So like I said, your brain tends to gravitate towards the things that are familiar, which also means that you can't just think about things just once. So if you want something to change, you must change, but you must also think about it more than once. You must also do something more than once. You have to do it enough times so it starts to become familiar to you, so that your brain starts to gravitate towards that rather than that which you are already doing. And that's one of the hardest things for us to do, is to get outside of that comfort zone, because your brain is going to go to what you're used to, go to what's familiar, go to what's comfortable when you're trying to do something new. So you have to have a prescriptive practice every single day, because like I said, if you're not consciously choosing to practice on something, you are already practicing something else that's going to keep you where you're at. So that's one of the topics that we're going to hit on today. We're going to talk a little bit about some commissions, depending on the time and what we have available. We're going to talk a little bit about the April 8th event. We are going to, if we have some time, I'll talk about potentials for investments and, different opportunities to invest, communication, because we have a lot of issues with communication right now. Now more than ever, we need to practice and focus on our communication. Okay, so first off, let's talk about the April 8th event. We are putting together and planning an awesome event for you. It's going to be different from any other event that you've been to. So don't think that this is just going to be, oh, it's just another this, or it's going to be like that, or it'll be like this. It's going to be different. We're trying and doing new things, bringing a whole different level of energy, a whole different level of interaction to you to try and make this the best event that you've had so far at this brokerage, being a part of this team. So what I did yesterday, and I'm just going to show you really quickly, just for those of you online. I sent this email out to the team yesterday. I've gotten some replies so far, but if you would like, we'd need a few more replies for all of the different panels. What this is the Next Level Rally coming up on April 8th. We're going to have some different panels of agents to talk to you about the things that are helping them be successful in this business, real life stories, things and ways they've overcome those issues that come into their business, the way that they're getting some of their buyers and sellers under contract in this very difficult market sometimes for different types of buyers, different types of loans, different types of homes. So we need some of your input, and we would love to have you choose and select the people that are going to be on that panel. And if you feel like you would be a good fit for that, this email went out yesterday. Please check your email from yesterday, March 15th at 12:04 p.m. Search your Gmail. And it just says, if you'd like to be in consideration to be on one of these panels, please review the 3 topics below listed and reply to this email with a brief narrative as to why you would make a great addition to that specific panel. Give me a small, short breakdown as why other people would benefit from hearing the things that you're implementing in your business. Tell me a little bit about your successes. If you wanted to give me a story of something that happened, tell me about how you implement the systems, processes, and tools. Just give us a little bit of that. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to put those onto a list. Here's all of the people who have submitted to be on the sellers or listing panel, all of the people that have committed to be or submitted to be on the buyers and contracts panel, and all of the people who've submitted to want to be on the Moxie panel because they've had some great successes with Moxie and other technology within Moxie and had good successes there. And we are going to go through those and pick the 3 or 4 agents that are going to be on that panel. Us as management will also submit some names to be on there for the people who we feel have been some of the most successful using these systems, processes, and tools. And we're going to get you a great program to be able to watch. So if you do and you would like to, please go to your email, please pull this up and reply to this email and tell me, yes, this is the panel I'd like to be on, and here's why, because I've done this, 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 and this. If you don't want to type it, send me a video and just talk about it for 30 seconds. Do something different. So that's something that we can, that I'd love for y'all to do. All right. Next is, got that out of the way. Our Next Level Rally. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is commissions. So I talked about this yesterday, but it's definitely worth talking about more because after I talked about it, I got a call from someone else who said they went through the same thing with some of their agents. So it's a crazy market out there. Your buyers are searching everywhere. They're looking on Zillow, they're looking on Trulia, they're getting your MLS searches. You're going to have an MLS search set up. They're going to get a listing like this it's now under contract. They're going to get a listing like this, and you're going to get down here to trying to look at the showing instructions, and you are going to see that this listing is offering to single agents $1. Non-rep, $1. Transaction broker, $1. What do you do? And then in realtor remarks, it says limited service, listing type limited service, seller not represented, no form of representation provided to the seller whatsoever, as you can tell. Buyer agent's commission to be paid by buyer, seller not ready to pay. What do you do? Give me some chats. Throw in a quick little synopsis. What would you do? How do you handle this scenario? Your buyer wants to see this home. What's your next step? What can you do? What should you do? Because This is what they're offering. You can't call People's Choice Realty and tell them, pay me more money, because they have no representation. The seller paid a flat fee, a small limited service fee to get this property on the market on MLS. They put it in MLS and they have to offer something from MLS. If they go in MLS, they have to have an offer of compensation. So what do? For a single agent, what is best for the buyer? Auctioneers have been doing this for years and years and years. Yes, they are. And they have, but they're also putting they'll do this and put in that they're offering $1, but it's also stipulated that in the auction, the buyer is paying there's a premium. So you're buying this home and the buyer pays a buyer's premium. That's not stipulated here. So the auctioneer and the auction house are the ones that have typically done that. And they put on there, buyers this is subject to a 5%, 6%, 10% buyer's premium. And the commissions are getting paid out of the buyer's premium. So the buyer's paying the commission, but it's already stipulated by the listing by the auction house. That's not the case here. So what do? You're not getting paid a commission except $1. Inform your buyers, educate your buyer that seller's not wanting to pay commission. Would you be willing to compensate me in this case? It's a violation of the code of ethics to request a different compensation. Exactly. So you can't go to the listing office and ask for a different compensation, because number one, it's a violation. Number two, they don't represent the seller. They're not paying you. The seller's paying you. They're just putting it in MLS. Would you mention our minimum commission agreement? So what would you do in this instance? So you are not allowed to discriminate based on the compensation being offered. So you're not allowed to steer a buyer. You're not supposed to steer buyers because someone's paying more, someone's paying less. But what if you fully disclose to the buyer the scenario? I'm not steering them. I'm going to fully disclose to them what's going on. And I'm going to fully disclose to them how my business operates. So in this case, Roberta, you're being asked to work for free. So you cannot steer them. You can't not show them the property. You can't talk badly about the property. You can't do any of that. You're not supposed to discriminate based on that. But what you can do is you can talk to the buyer and say, Mr. Buyer, we need to have a discussion about this property. So in this case, every time a property goes in MLS, it's typically being offered by a brokerage. And when it's offered by a brokerage, the MLS stipulates that there has to be an offer of compensation. Normally in these markets, the offer of compensation is anywhere between 2% and 3%. Some of them even more, some of them 3 to 4%. My fee that I usually collect is typically around 2.5 or 3%. In this instance, this seller is only offering $1. Let me ask you a question. If you showed up to work tomorrow and they said, I'm only going to pay you $1 for the next 30 days, that's it, $1. Even though you normally make $10,000, I'm only going to pay you $1 for the next 30 days. Would you be able to continue to work at that facility? Would you still be able to afford your bills, pay your family, put a roof over your head, feed your children? Would your business be able to operate like that? No. So as you can imagine, my business isn't able to operate like that either. I don't get compensated hourly. I only get compensated by the commission that's being offered. So in this case, since there is not a commission being offered, would you be willing to compensate the difference? Because otherwise I may not be able to show this property as a business decision, but I can get you in contact with the company that's listed it and the owner, and you're more than welcome to show the property yourself. And I'll get you connected with them, do what's best for the buyer, make sure they see the property, and I can help and advise you. See if they're willing to pay you a commission. See if they're willing to pay you 2%, 3%. How much commission should they pay you? 3%. What are you worth? As a single agent, 3%, you're worth 3%, right? But what if they don't have 3%? Look, in this instance, here's the reality. If you are doing what's best for your buyer and trying to help them, and they only have a certain amount of funds, you can offer to help them for, if they can only pay you 1.5 or 2%, you can offer to do it. 1.5 or 2% is better than nothing. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to cave. I want you to stand up for your value. But if you're going to do it for lower than for 2%, because that's all they have, that's better than nothing, number one. But also just remember this, don't offer single agency in that case. There's a lot of liability that comes along with single agency, and you're doing it for a much lower fee that may not even cover the E&O deductible should there become an issue. So just be smart about that. We have to make smart business decisions. We're not trying to steer the buyer away from anything. We're just disclosing to the buyer the full scenario and what this situation is. The buyer can ask the seller to pay, the agent cannot. Well, Craig, in this case, it's limited service. So if it's limited service and there is no representation of the seller, can the agent ask the seller to pay the commission? And if you're asking the seller to pay commission, how would you do that? I've been in this scenario, fully disclosed as you just did, and the buyers were appalled at the listing agent and said, without a doubt, they would compensate me. So that's a prime example. Your buyers a lot of times will do that. They are just as appalled as you are, and they are willing to compensate you. Typically a property like this will have issues. Point them out at showing as a condition of the buyer's offer. So, but that brings up a good point, Craig. So let's say the buyer says, well, how about we do this? Can I put it into the price? Can we look at the price and see if there's room? And if there's room in the price, what if we offer a higher price? Like this one is listed at 380. Let's look at that really quick. Is there room there? Like asking for closing costs. Correct. But Craig, you tell us not to put commission in the contract, because what happens if we offer, the buyer says it's a 380 home. I'm willing to pay them 400 if they're willing to give back $12,000 of that to pay your commissions. I'll pay them 12,000. I'll pay them 20,000 more if they're willing to give 12,000 back. And we write that in additional terms. Seller agrees to compensate listing agent 3% of the purchase price towards commissions. What if we write that in a contract and the buyer's asking the seller to do that? What can the seller do? If it's a term of the contract and it's a negotiation, the seller can cross through that and initial it. I'm not paying the 12,000. I'm not paying the 3% towards the agents. I already said I'm not doing that. If you're going to pay me $20,000 more, you're going to pay me $20,000 more. I'm not paying them anything. So pay me the 20,000 more. You can have the property, cross through, initial, send it back to the buyer's agent, to you, the buyer's agent. Now, the buyer's agent, received this counter offer back saying he'll take the 400, but he's not paying us jack. Our buyer hasn't agreed to pay us any commission yet. We could still get a buyer broker agreement that says the buyer will pay us a commission. So that's, well, let me come back to that in a second. So we get that back and it says, sorry, strike through, not paying you any commission. Buyer goes, look, I really want this home. I'm sorry. Initials it, sends it back. Now you're under contract and you're not getting paid any commission. So the way that you can navigate around that is just what Craig said, ask the buyer to pay, but we'll ask the seller to pay. Have the buyer sign a buyer brokerage agreement. Mr. Buyer, this listing is only offering me $1. As you can imagine, $1 is not enough to keep my business afloat, as it would be in your case. If you were going to get paid $1 for your salary for the next 30 days, it wouldn't be able to keep your household afloat. So in this instance, I would be asking you if you're willing to compensate me for the services that are rendered, because I cannot do it for $1. Here's a buyer brokerage agreement. How much are you willing to offer and can you pay in compensation? Great, they'll pay 3%. Buyer says I'll pay you 3%. I'll sign your buyer brokerage agreement. But Mr. Buyer, here's what we can do. I'm going to try to get the commission paid by the seller. Why don't we write an offer asking the seller to pay the 3% towards the commission? If they don't agree to it, you're still covered because the buyer signed a buyer brokerage agreement paying you 3%. You're still going to get your commission. But if they do agree to it or negotiate, look, I won't pay 3%. I'll only pay 1%. Okay, well, they're going to pay 1%. The buyer said that they'll pay you 3%. If the seller's paying 1%, the buyer's going to guarantee you get paid 3%. The buyer only has to pay 2% now. It's a way that we can kind of navigate through that a little bit, and you can offer 3% less. Well, in this instance, the list price was a little bit lower than what some of the other recent sales were. So they would probably still be having to offer over asking price. And here in this instance, it's a $380,000 home, 2,500 square foot, and it was on market. It was on market for one day. I don't know how they got it set back to zero, but it was on market one day, and they accepted an offer immediately. It was on. It came on Sunday night, and by Monday, let's see. No, this came on Monday, and by Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock, the agent had replied that they already had a conditional offer accepted. So offering no commissions, pricing the property lower, on market one day, and it sold. So it's tough out there, but you have to know how to navigate that. You have to be strong enough to ask the buyer if they're willing to compensate you. You have some business decisions that you will need to make on how you can kind of work through that. If limited service, can we speak with seller about listing with us? So that's gray. Technically there is no representation, but I believe we went through this before, and MLS has something in there that if it's in there, even as limited service, there is some gray area there with contacting the seller. But truly it is more like a for sale by owner. This is a dilemma. I find myself really hoping this seller fails. Yeah, it's not fun, but these are the parts of the job that we have to navigate through. So just consider this. You have a business to run. You do have to ask some hard questions sometimes and make some hard decisions, have some hard discussions. So keep that in mind. You will have to ensure that you get some type of compensation in some way, because you can't work for free, and you cannot offer single agency and not get compensated in any way, shape, or form. And you can't run a business on getting paid $1. So just consider those things and be on the lookout for that. It does happen. And just remember, if you have any questions, let us know. We'll help you out. All right, I'm going to shift gears a little bit back into I'm going to play a short video. And this video, it's about 5 minutes, but we talked a lot about, and we talk a lot about all the time, about energy, intention, mindset, attitude, and your actions and practice and all of those things. You hear about the law of attraction. And I talked 2 weeks ago about the law of attraction, and really what it is to engage with the law of attraction. It's not just thinking about positive things and hoping that they happen. There are laws of energy and vibration. And you hear Jeff talk about that a lot in our Next Level Universities, and a lot of the talks that he's done in the old Beggins universities. And this is going to kind of encompass all of that, about how the law of attraction, energy, vibration, mindset, attitude, focus, how you can use your thoughts rather than your thoughts using you. Like I told you, if you are not consciously practicing something, whether it's your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, you are practicing something on a daily basis that is more than likely not serving you. And here is a practice that you can, I hope it helps for you to understand a little bit more about your energy, your intentions, the law of attraction, the energy, the vibrations, and things like that. So just watch this video. We'll talk a little bit about it afterwards.
I found them to be really powerful. I said them out loud on my way to the tube this morning. I do it every day. And so I know they're powerful, but I haven't ever thought why they're powerful and how that whole subconscious works. And I was just wondering if I could get your thoughts on that.
Monks have been using affirmations forever, mantras, as they call it in Sanskrit. We use these beats to chant on, and a lot of times people say these are prayer beats, but we actually, yeah, you could say they're prayer beats, but we're actually more like affirmation or mantra beats. So we use these to actually program our subconscious. So as we chant on each beat, we chant an affirmation. I am happy, or I'm confident. And we repeat the same chant over and over again. And there are 108 beats in here, so you can imagine how your subconscious gets programmed.
And you memorize like 108 different chants.
Oh, well, just one chant.
One chant, okay.
One chant over and over again. So it's I'm happy or I'm confident. You repeat it 108 times. So with affirmation, 3 ingredients are necessary: concise choice of positive words, clear visualization, and a corresponding feeling. And most people don't understand this when it comes to affirmation. They just say the words, but no visualization and no feeling. So for example, if I say, I love apples, concise choice of positive words. Now, when I say the word I, my mind knows I'm talking about me. When I say the word love, my mind knows that he likes it, he enjoys it, he adores it. That's what love means to him. When I say the word apples, my mind gets confused because it's searching my entire hard drive, my entire subconscious from the day I was born for every occurrence of the word apple. Red apple, green apples, yellow apples, Honeycrisp apples, Red Delicious, Fuji apples, Washington apples, Apple MacBook Pro, MacBook Air, Apple Watch, iWatch, Apple iPhone, Apple iPad. What apples is he talking about? I have no idea, right? So words alone is not enough. So that's why we have visualization. So when I say, I love apples, and I visualize a bright red apple, my mind goes, oh, that's what he's talking about. I love apples. He loves bright red apples. This particular type of apple. It's a Washington or Honeycrisp apple, which has a little yellowish tint to it.
Okay.
So that's why words and visualization are important.
Okay.
And then feeling. Feeling is emotion. Emotion is energy. And you know the famous scientist Tesla, not personally, but obviously through reputation. He had this beautiful saying which kind of encapsulates Hindu philosophy really well. He said that to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Everything is made up of energy that's vibrating at a certain frequency. Right? So the chair has molecules and atoms that are vibrating a certain frequency, binding it together, creating a certain matter. So what we believe is that if your subconscious is filled with patterns that are vibrating at a certain frequency. Anger could be vibrating at 20 kilohertz, happiness at 30 kilohertz. I don't know what the numbers are, I'm just making stuff up in terms of numbers, but everything is vibrating at a certain frequency. And if you can go into your subconscious and create a pattern, infuse it with energy that's vibrating at a certain frequency, you can attract things of a similar nature to it. So if I go into my subconscious, I repeat an affirmation, which has a concise choice of positive words, clear visualization, I infuse a feeling into it. What does it feel like, right? And it starts to vibrate in my subconscious with that frequency. Now it attracts anything of a similar vibration or similar frequency towards it. To give you a very simple example, boy dates girl, they go out for 2 years, they have a great intimate relationship, they break up. Boy hangs out with his friends to get over the relationship. The girl does, chocolate, shopping, wine therapy with her girlfriends for 6 months, finally says, I'm over him. She starts dating again. Who does she attract into her life? Quite often a similar guy. Different person, but with the same vibration. Same type of person. I've had so many people come up to me, boys and girls, say, I keep attracting the same type of person into my life. Common thing I hear all the time. Why? Because John dates Sue. They have 2 years of a relationship. Sue has vibrations that are emotional experiences that are vibrating at the frequency of John in her subconscious. They break up. Those experiences are still vibrating at the frequency of John in her subconscious. Now she goes to date. Who does she attract? Another John named Peter of a similar frequency. And that just happens. So energy doesn't know how to discriminate between what's good for you and what's not good for you. It's just energy. So anything of a similar frequency gets drawn to you. So if you know how the subconscious works and you know how to program it using affirmations with a clear choice, concise choice of positive words, clear visualization, and a corresponding feeling being the most important component because it's the actual energy that attracts, then you can bring into your life anything you want.
I thought that was really, really interesting, the way that he kind of brings it down to a simple level of, relationships, something that we can all relate to, and why we kind of attract some of the same things. But this happens in every part of our life. The 3 things that he says that you need for affirmations to work, whether it's affirmations or law of attraction, is you need concise choice of positive words. you need clear visualization, and you need a corresponding feeling or emotion, because emotion is energy. So if you can get those three things together, that can start to create and change your subconscious mind, your subconscious thoughts, and start attracting different things. That's why whenever you try something new, and you try something new and it goes on for a little while, and you're doing something similar to that every single day, you start getting different results and different things happening. But then the minute that you stop doing that and you stop focusing on it, stop with your concise choice of words, stop with visualizing it, because we find ourselves visualizing the things that we're doing and enjoying at that time. And then you stop creating any emotional attachment to it. All of a sudden, those feelings start to go away and we fall back into other habits. These things happen on a daily basis without you even knowing it. That's what I was saying. If you are not practicing something, you are at the mercy of what you are already doing. So my question to you is, what are you practicing on a daily basis? What emotions are you practicing? What thought patterns are you practicing? What actions are you practicing? You're practicing something, whether you know it or not. Why not become conscious of the things that you're practicing and implement things and practice things on a daily basis that would start to serve you, that would start to become beneficial to you? Your brain is like a supercomputer. Think of it like that. Think of your brain as a supercomputer. Your brain right now is just running a program. Unfortunately, we're the ones that installed the program based on our actions, based on the things that we put in our mind, based on the things that we consume, whether it's diet, whether it's food, whether it's thought, whether it's TV, things we see, hear, feel, touch. Our brain is running a program. If you want to change the program on a computer, you have to download new software. And once you download new software, it doesn't just happen instantaneously. Usually you push a button, it goes here, it's got to download. It takes a while. So just think of and consider the next 30, 60, 90 days as your downloading time. This is you're downloading a new program. Whatever it is that you are going to focus on trying to create, whether it's more business, better life, more income, whatever it is that you need to do, different actions, different intentions, different energy, working out, better body, stronger mind, stronger health, whatever that is. Think of it over the next 30, 60, 90 days, you are going to be downloading a new program. Okay, well, what is the program you're downloading? You can't just think and just, oh, we'll do that. You need to have concise choice of positive words about that thing. You need to have clear visualization, and you need to have a strong emotion about that as to why you're doing it. You see how there's correlation, having a goal, having a clear vision about it, having a why, having all of that attached to it, bringing that all into play, and you can start downloading a new program. The human body and human brain is literally like a supercomputer, and it's the most efficient one that was ever built. But you can start to program your own supercomputer. And there's one other short video I want to show you that, and I've showed this one before, but hopefully it will kind of take that and tie it in with somebody who decided on that day, on a day in here, that he was going to he was going to download a new program into his mind, and it completely changed the direction of his life.
Somebody says something out loud, it's 10 times more powerful than if they think it. And then as we started to study the data, particularly data that was just reinforced by Christine Porath from Georgetown.
Oops, and that's not the right one. Hold on. Got to get the right one. This one.
This is a really interesting part of what you say, that the past isn't predictive.
Correct.
So talk to me more about that, because I would say most people would say that the past is definitely predictive.
Right, which is great, but they'd be wrong. Right? So they would be wrong. And the simple fact of the matter is the past is real. Okay? So the only thing that makes it predictive is if my behavior stays the same. So I'll give you a great story. So we both grew up in Tacoma. And there used to be a thing called Toastmasters. I don't know if you remember Toastmasters, but Toastmasters was a local, regional, and a national speaking group for anybody that wanted to get better at speaking. Well, my dad had gone to a Toastmasters early on and heard one of the most successful magazine entrepreneurs in the world speak. He comes back and tells me, I just had a chance to hear one of the most successful magazine entrepreneurs in the world speak. And he said, when are you taking your SAT? I said, I'm taking it next year. He said, well, this guy was failing out of high school. He was struggling. He was raised by a single mom in the Midwest, but he promised his mother he would take a test called the SAT. So he takes the SAT in May, his junior year, doesn't expect anything, gets his score back in June. Now the SAT, which I don't know how many your population know, but it's a standardized test with a math part and a verbal part. Both are scored out of 800 points. Well, this guy takes it. He's bombing. He's failing out of school. He doesn't expect anything as he's telling the story at Toastmasters. Well, he gets a 1480 out of 1600. So he's stunned, right? That would be for the smart people that
That's
listen to your podcast.
Insane, yeah.
Right. Cognitive dissonance,
I
right?
got a
Like,
900 on my SATs just
Right.
to give people a frame. of
right.
reference.
And I got a 10,
990, excuse
and
me.
I got a 1010, right? I was just, hey, 4 digits. It was a miracle, right? But it's a hard test, and it's a variety of different things. So he gets the score, and his mother, doing what any mother would do, knowing her kid, says, "Did you cheat?" Right? She knows her son, and he says, "I swear to God, I tried to cheat, but the way the numbers were and the scantrons and the bubbles, you couldn't cheat." So she says, "You mean to tell me you really got that score?" He said, "Yeah, I got the score." So he's stunned, Tom. So as my dad's telling me the story, I'm like, okay. So he says, all right. So what he decides is, because he realizes he's smart and he's going into his senior year, he says, "I'm going to go to class." Now he starts to go to class. He doesn't hang out with who he did when he didn't go to class. All right. Teachers see him in class and they said, "Hey, maybe Franklin Pierce, maybe we missed the boat on this kid." So they start to treat him differently. Well, as the guy would tell the story, he graduates, goes to a community college, goes on to Wichita State, goes on to the Ivy League, and becomes this massively successful magazine entrepreneur. So I said, okay, well, the guy was always smart. He just needed a standardized test to unlock it. My dad said, "No, that's not the story. And this is what I want you to understand." He said, 12 years after all this guy's success, he gets a letter in the mail from Princeton, New Jersey. Doesn't think anything about it. The next day, his wife says, "You're going to open it." He opens it. True story. Turns out the SAT board will periodically review their test taking procedures and the policies. The year he took the test, he was one of 13 people sent the wrong SAT score. His actual score was a 740 out of 1600. And he said, "People think my whole life changed when I got the 1480. But what happened? My whole life changed when I started acting like a 1480. And what does a 1480 do? He goes to class." Well, this is one of the first stories I would share when I had my opportunity at Alabama, or Florida State, or Georgia. So A, your language is powerful, but number two, your behavior is way ahead of your success. And so many people let their feelings dictate what they do, as opposed to throw your behavior out there. Russell Wilson's 5'10". He shouldn't be playing pro football, but he behaves like the best quarterback in the country. And he's done that since before he was at that level. And then his feelings and emotions and his skill caught up to that behavior. I think the lesson my dad was trying to teach me ultimately was, in addition to my language, what I do, not how I feel about my past, is going to determine who I am in the future. And that's what I think neutral thinking is. And I think neutral thinking isn't just thinking. I think it's behavior, and I think it's language. And so your behavior is what's going to change you. But you also have to start by asking yourself, what do I want, and why do I want it? Why don't I have it? What am I willing to do to get it?
Pretty cool, right? I think it kind of all ties in together. You get to see that here's a monk telling you that, yes, you can reprogram your subconscious mind. You can reprogram yourself. You can reprogram your thoughts. Your brain is just a supercomputer. We can download a new program. You can do it by doing these things. You can do it by using some type of affirmation, but in an affirmation, you need to have a concise choice of positive words, clear visualization, and a corresponding feeling that goes along with that. And then that needs to be a repetitious thinking process that needs to be repetitious, done over and over and over again, because that's the downloading of the new program. But that takes time, takes energy, takes effort. Then you see in real life, that is a true story that is told, a true story that this man took his SAT, was failing out of high school, was not doing well, was getting in all kinds of trouble, took his SAT and scores like a 1400 on it. And he's, wow, that's crazy. Started having a belief in himself. And now this belief in himself started a talk track in his mind, a affirmation, if you will, in his mind, telling himself that maybe I am good at this, rather than I'm a loser, I'm failing, I stink, I can't do this, I can't do that. And when you're saying those things to yourself, the corresponding feeling that goes along with it is not very good. And the visualization that you have is you're going to end up in a 1-bedroom apartment, doing this, doing that, no job, no income, Nobody, no friends, no none of that, can't afford to do anything. But when he changed his inner dialogue that, somebody who gets a 1480, that's pretty good. Maybe I am kind of smart. I think I do have some potential. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to class. I'm going to try a little harder. And he started doing better, got into an Ivy League school, became a huge publishing CEO, owner of a company. So his actions followed that, but there was a corresponding feeling in there. And you heard him say a lot. That's Trevor Malwad saying that. He's saying, I'm worried about the kid who actually had a high score but was sent the low score. That's true. We don't hear that story, but you hear him say a lot about it. Your actions are ahead of you. If you take actions, just throw yourself out there and take the actions and get out and do it, you're going to have a better result than if you sat back and did nothing. So the past is not predictive of the future. Your past has feelings, thoughts, visualization associated to it. The only way your past stays the same is if you don't change anything that you're doing. If you stay the same, your future will equal your past if you make no changes. So he's saying your language is very powerful. Your actions are very powerful. But in the end, he went in and said about having a strong reason why, having a feeling and emotion attached to it, having that inside of you, which is back to concise, positive thought, positive words, clear visualization, and a corresponding emotion. The emotion is the magnetic charge in the law of attraction. That emotion is a feeling, but that emotion starts creating energy. That emotion creates vibration. That emotion creates a frequency. These things have been measured. They can take these tools and they can measure individuals as they change and go through. They'll ask them to go through corresponding emotions. Feel this way. Think of this and feel that. Think of this and feel that. They can see a change in the energetic vibration coming off them, just the same way that they can go and they can measure radiation, the same way they can measure the energy coming off of different lights, towers, the energy coming out of an outlet. They can measure it coming off of a human, and as they change their emotion, you can see the different frequencies and vibrations change. And whatever you are in vibration with, whatever your frequency is what you're going to attract. Like attracts like. That's why we talk a lot about attract and repel. Let's see, Roberta, that kid can still overcome too. That's right. So I just wanted to just to reiterate this. If you want to make some changes in your life and you don't know where to start with something that you do on a daily basis. Start controlling your thoughts. The best time to do this is in the morning or the evening. In the morning, when you first wake up, within the first 20 minutes, your brain waves are on a slower brain wave, which means that you can get past. It's not going like this crazy. You can get past and through to more of a subconscious talk to yourself, more of the reprogramming and programming, downloading a new program into your mind within the first 20 minutes of waking up, because your brain waves are much slower. It's not on your higher brain waves. And then 20 minutes before you go to sleep, because your brain is slowing down and the brain waves are much slower and more impressionable. And if you wanted to take some clear, concise, positive words and clear visualization and a corresponding feeling along with it, and try to continually repeat that on a daily basis and have some type of affirmation that goes along with those things in line, and you can start to give yourself and download a new program. It takes at least 30 days to start to see and feel some difference. But again, you're doing something on a daily basis. Is it serving you? You're practicing something already. Is it serving you? Is it giving you the outcomes that you want? I would say no, or else none of us would want any more. A couple other things. Let's see, which do I want to go on to? Communication. We want to talk a little bit about communication here. So we have a lot of tools. We have a lot of systems, processes, tools, resources available to us. And if you're using any of these tools, if you're using Knock, if you're using Ribbon, if you're using Home Partners, Divi, even OfferPad, Open Door, if you're using any of these programs, you have to be able to communicate clearly what the program is, especially if it's representing a buyer that's trying to purchase a home using one of these programs. And I want to talk to you about an example of something that happened where this is a different brokerage and they submitted an offer on one of our listings and they did not clearly explain the way that the program they were using worked. They actually didn't explain it at all. They just gave some brief roundabout, just kind of talk about it and said, yeah, it's this. And, it was really brief. It did not fully explain and how that cost them a deal. So we have the listing. Our brokerage has a listing. We had multiple offers come in on this listing. One of them was an OfferPad brokerage offer. OfferPad as a brokerage, because OfferPad is a real estate brokerage, and they have buyers agents that are working for them, and they have listing agents that are working for them as well. So OfferPad has a buyer's agent who has a home to sell and is making an offer on our listing. They made an offer on our listing. The offer was over asking price, waiving inspections, waiving financing, and waiving any appraisal. They did not check the box for cash. They did not check the box for contingent on a loan. Yet they put on the first page that they were going to get a $100,000 loan. 100,000 was, it's like 25% of what the price was. So it wasn't really much of anything, but they didn't mark any of that. And they said this contract is not contingent on financing, not contingent on appraisal, not contingent on inspections. So what do we have as a listing agent? We have an offer it came from OfferPad as a brokerage with the buyer's agent representing a buyer who is also selling a home saying, hey, I want to buy your home. I will waive inspections, waive financing, waive appraisals. I'm going to give you over asking price. Basically, I have no protection and I'm ready to buy your home. Okay. Is it contingent on the sale? I know he has a home that he's selling because the agent told us that he's selling his home. He can pay cash for it, they said, but they prefer to sell it and get a loan. But he can pay cash even if the home doesn't sell, so it's not contingent on the sale of his home. And we were just a little confused, asked some questions, and it wasn't explained clearly. The four corners of the contract. So what we end up finding out after we accepted a better offer, the agent, who is a team leader for the buyer's agent who submitted the offer, sends an email, says, oh, you must not be clear how all of this works. Apparently not, because your agent didn't do a good job of communicating that and telling us how it works. She proceeds to tell us that OfferPad has a program that helps the seller where they boost their offer in a way. We give them a cash offer so they could write a contingency-free offer on another home where they can, if they do sell their home, fine. But if they don't, OfferPad will buy it for an agreed upon price. OfferPad has its own lender as well. So they're using the OfferPad lender who will write the approval without the contingency on it because they know it's not contingent because OfferPad's going to buy it no matter what. They didn't tell us any of that. We continued to ask the agent, is it contingent? Well, no, he can pay cash if he needs to. He just doesn't want to take it out of that account to do this. Not once did they tell us, no, we have him in with the OfferPad program that they have. What it is they allow the owner to go on market and get better offers if they can. And if they get a better offer, that's great. But if that offer does not close, we will buy the home. We guarantee the closing. It's not going to be an issue. I promise there's not going to be any problems. So there is no contingencies, no financing, because we know the financing is good. We know that even if he doesn't get his loan, we're going to buy the home. So it doesn't need to be contingent on financing because we're going to be good no matter what. No one said any of that. So we're left there confused, like, okay, it's contingent on the sale. OfferPad's not buying it because you sent us a contract that has somebody else's name on it. That's a normal buyer. That buyer has to buy this home. It's contingent on them buying that home and then contingent on you selling it so you can buy ours. There was just too much confusion and no one took the time to explain everything. So that's why it's important that you take the time. It does sound similar to Knock, but OfferPad's just trying to expand Like they're expanding a little bit more with their own brokerage, adding agents and working in that regard as well. So you really need to take the time to explain these programs that you're using. You really, really need to take the time to explain them. If you're using Knock, if you're using Home Partners, you want to take the time to reach out. I understand listing agents aren't answering the phone all the time. I understand that, but you need to make sure that you have either the link to their site, you have a phone number that they can call. People at Ribbon are very helpful. They've picked up the phone and called agents before and told them all about it, answered all the questions. You heard Joe Diener talk about his experience with it. You need to be able to communicate this very clearly. Otherwise, you're going to be in a position like this, where this offer was the best offer up until the very last minute, when another offer said, oh no, I don't want to lose it, make sure we get this offer. And they came in and with better terms. That offer would have got accepted probably a day or so ago if we didn't have the wishy-washiness of not knowing exactly what the scenario is, what's going on, how did that happen. And we wanted to take that offer because it was the best one, but we ended up going back to the other one. Look, we're at the point we're about to accept this other offer. And I just wanted to let you know if you'd like to be a backup. Wait, we're losing the offer? Yes, you are. All right, what if we do this? Well, that does change things, because that other offer, you're beating that other offer now. And it just started to make sense to go with this offer now because it was better. This one would have won if they would have clearly explained everything, and we wouldn't have been in that position. So take the time to communicate. The key to communication is to properly communicate. Include program docs when presenting offer. Yeah, you can include all the docs you want, John, but if the agent doesn't take the time to read them and we don't take the time to make sure they understand it, I mean, they're not going to. So we can't even get agents to read through the entire 12 pages of an offer sometimes and not miss terms on that. And we're asking them to read instructions on how this program is going to work when they have 27 other offers. Some of them might be better than ours. What's some new program? I don't want to deal with that. So you have to take the time to really express that. So like I said, the key to communication is to properly communicate. Another thing about communication, there's a lot of frustration out there. Frustration on the seller's part. Even when they have tons of offers, they're frustrated because they don't know which one to take. There's a lot of frustration on our end. I've dealt a couple times with some people who are getting frustrated because the seller won't make a decision or can't make a decision or doesn't know what direction to go in with the offers. And they're asking the same questions over and over again. Let me let you in on a little secret. If your seller is asking the same questions over and over and over and over and over and over again, they don't understand the way that you're communicating to them. And it's not their job to shift the way they understand to match the way that we are communicating. It's our job as a sales professional to shift the way we are communicating to make sure they understand. So make sure you're not saying the same things over and over again when they ask the same questions over and over again. Try it a different way every time. Because if you continue to say the same thing over and over again, that's just going to create frustration. You're going to get frustrated because you're repeating yourself over and over. Why don't they freaking understand what I'm saying to them? And the seller is going to get frustrated because they're not understanding and you're just telling them the same thing. Yeah, I get that, but, and it's going to create frustration. So if you find yourself repeating over, they're asking the same questions, try and think of a different way to explain it. One of the ways that we as humans understand things is by analogies, by relating to things. If you tell me something, I need to be able to go into my computer program inside here and find something that I can relate to that, and I'll understand it more clearly. Meaning if you tell me, well, it's kind of like when you go to the store and you wait in line and then you got to push this button before that happens, it's kind of the same thing. You got to do this and do that before this happens. So if you can relate it to something that they do regularly, they're going to understand more if they can have that correlation between the two. But again, if you find yourself repeating yourself, or if you find the same questions coming out over and over and over again, you have to be the one that explains it in a different manner. We can't expect them to change the way they communicate. There's so many new agents out there that don't understand the programs they're using. Exactly. Tell them a story. That's another great thing. Tell them a story about how you used the program before, or use our stories. That's one of the reasons we do these meetings, is to give you ammo in your arsenal to use. use one of the stories that you hear from our agents. So, one of my agents just did this the other day and they got this accepted because of this, and they closed and everything was fine and blah, 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 blah. So use a story, give them something to relate to. People learn and comprehend differently as well. Absolutely. People learn differently. They comprehend differently. People try to explain things in their level of perception. People will only ever understand from their own level of perception. So however they perceive it, think of it. If you tell someone like the sky's blue most of the time, right? If you tell someone the sky's green, they're never going to understand it. But I mean, you can make that argument potentially that there's green. Well, there's hints of green. I mean, the only reason you get blue is there's little bits of other colors inside of there that help create the blue. They're only going to understand from their level of perception. You have to find different ways to explain it differently to help them to understand, especially if it's not something that they normally comprehend. Yep, it doesn't have to be your story. That's right. All right. That's about all for me today. Happy Wednesday, March 16th. Again, be on the lookout for the RSVPs for the April 8th event. Mike Puma sent out a text message that has a simple link that you can click to RSVP for it. Please save your spot. Please, please, please. We need to know how many people are coming. We're up to over 100 people that are coming to this event. That's pretty awesome. So over 100, we'd love to get to 200. We've got 250 seats. So tell a friend, make sure you're communicating with your other agents. Ask them if they got the RSVP, if they've done it. You'll have an email coming from Susie as well. She'll send out another RSVP at some point. We need to have those done by the end of next week. So by Friday, the 25th. So just be on the lookout for all those. You guys have a great Wednesday. Thank you.